Hello and welcome to my channel. Most of you will end up watching this video after the YouTube algorithm suggests another one of my videos, probably one of my short stories or a chapter of a future work of mine. You will most likely wonder what it is you're watching and why, who I am, what am I doing, how did I start, and one way or another you will end up watching this video, which will be the first or second upload on my channel, along with its Greek version in a separate video. My name is Georgios Lygkas, and I have been into writing for a few years now. I was born in Patras, Greece, studied in Greece and Scotland, and I have been residing in Scotland for about 10 years now. I have studied various things. I have worked in various sectors and have done various things at times. My hobbies change often, perhaps as often as I also change. Writing has been one of my constant pastimes, however. At some point in my teenage years, I started writing lyrics for an epic metal band I wanted to form, but then the lyrics started growing out of the typical formulas most songs have, and they became individual stories, and then after a while I realized I would never have the patience to learn to play guitar, and so it would probably be best for me to start writing actual short and long stories. This took place at around 2006. In the following years I created a blog, because blogs were very popular at the time, under the title SOULFLOWING Fire in Greek, and many of those stories were posted on that blog, which I stopped using and deleted at some point in 2014. Quite a few years have passed since then. 2021 dawned on us just a few weeks ago. I never stopped having ideas about stories. In the past, I used to write them on notebooks I was carrying around. Nowadays, I use an app on my mobile phone, and I know that one day I will revisit them. Back in 2016, though, I decided to compile many of the stories I wrote between 2006 and 2016 and edit them again, work on them a bit more, and turn them into a short story collection, as there was no reason for them to remain as a digital footprint in my computer, and perhaps my creations would be of interest to some other people too. Art, no matter what form it takes, must have an audience. Art that is aimed at its creator as an audience is not art, it's something else. I spent the next 2 years translating the stories to English and trying to find a literary agent and a publisher using the traditional way, but had no luck. I knew it would be hard because SOULFLOWING Fire is a short story collection, and apparently short story collections are not supposed to be very commercial. Things are even harder for a publisher and for the readers they know they have when these short stories cross through genres, time periods, and even worlds. In time, I realized how hard it really was when rejections started arriving one after the other. I did not get discouraged, mainly because in my mind, SOULFLOWING Fire was a sample, a demo, so to speak, of what I could do. Now that I think about it, perhaps in the back of my mind, marked upon my deepest behavioral memories, was still hidden the perception, the approach of the whole issue, the attitude, if you'd like, of the band I never managed to form. My rationale at the time would have been something like, alright guys, let's record 1 or 2 demos, send them to record labels, and if they show some interest, then we can write our first full-length album or something similar. At some point, after many rejections, I stopped appealing to literary agents and publishers, and I decided that SOULFLOWING Fire would be released under my own terms. And so I chose the path of self-publishing. I created my own personal publishing house, named it CHTHON, and so I began. SOULFLOWING Fire was released in July 2018, amid a deafening silence, I would say, as I had not really thought on how to promote it. I didn't know anyone, no one knew me, so I only relied on the quality of my work. Sometime later, I ran 2 giveaways on Goodreads, and I managed to gather a few reviews and ratings, and I dare say that it appears that people who give the book an honest chance and do not get tired by the similarity between the stories tend to like it and have good things to say about it. I was never planning to make money from SOULFLOWING Fire, and so I didn't hesitate to give it for free on Goodreads. This is the reason the older versions of these stories were for years posted on my blog, and this is also the reason that I'm making these videos, narrating my stories like an audiobook to make them more accessible to more people who may want to listen to a story as they're going to work, doing house chores, are at the gym, or are unconsciously doing something boring and want their mind to be occupied with something interesting. The rise of YouTube, Netflix, social media have proven that we modern humans really like audiovisual forms of entertainment and consume entertainment material very easily and very quickly, like a mental fast food. Before this material leaves a print on our minds and thoughts, there's a multitude of choices out there. We're all bombarded daily with information, everyone is asking for our attention, and they are competing for it, and this has led to our constantly decreasing attention span. Who will find the patience to read a book if they've gotten used to receiving daily information contained in less than 280 characters for years? It all saddens me, but it is the world we live in. If I could somehow affect my readers and my new listeners, it would be to motivate them to read a little bit more if they don't already do so. And I mean to truly read, to set aside 1 or 2 hours a week if possible, sit somewhere comfortable with a real book on a subject that's of interest to them, and only focus on that. They may discover that they like reading more than they expected. Back to my story, however. A few months after Soulflowing Fire, I also released a poem collection via CHTHON under the name True to One's Own Demon. These are poems that were written at the same time period with the stories in Soulflowing Fire, and which I did not manage to include in the same book. The poems complement the stories, as they're all from the same writing period, and ideally both books are to be read together. At this point in time, however, I do not plan to make videos for the poems. Poetry is fundamentally a very personal thing, both for the writer as well as for the readers, who may realize something completely different and attach a certain meaning to a word or phrase that makes sense to them that way. This is something that I love in poetry, and so I do not believe I will end up narrating the poem collection. The poems were written to be read. And you may ask at this point, hold on, what will you do after you finish uploading the Soulflowing Fire videos? The answer is that I don't know yet. I am planning on uploading a video every 7 days, every Sunday, and we're talking about 25 stories. So it can take 6 to 7 months for the narration of the book to be finished. A lot of things can happen and change in 7 months, and I will decide based on the response these uploads will have or not have until then. I may decide to slowly narrate my next book, entitled No Prophet, which is already in Greek and is currently being translated to English, while I'm also searching for a real publisher. I may even decide to write a new serialized story exclusively for YouTube, and later turn it into a book or include it in other works I have in motion. I don't know yet, but I will think of something. I always get ideas. Before I end this video, I just want to address a final thing on how you can support me if you want to. I will not be bothering you on every video about subscribing, clicking the like button, turning notifications on, leaving comments, and all those things I hate on other channels. It is the one and only time I am mentioning this, and yes, obviously, if you like what I'm doing and want to know when a new video is uploaded, you're supposed to do all of those things I just mentioned. You all know how YouTube works. Moreover, I'm never planning to open a Patreon, nor will I ever ask you to send me donations and all those dodgy things, which I also hate seeing elsewhere. If you truly want to support me, there's really only one way. Buy my books, read them, leave a truthful and honest review on Goodreads or anywhere else you want, and tell your friends. This, and only this, is enough. Do you want to support me even more? Buy a couple of extra copies and give them to your cousins, your nephews and nieces, friends of yours who enjoy reading. Donate them to your local community library. This kind of support is enough, and I will never ask nor expect anything more from my readers or listeners. That's all for now as an initial introduction. Thank you very much for your time and patience, especially if you stayed here until this point of the video. I really appreciate it. For any questions or queries, I'm always available in the comment section. Be well, have a good time, take care of yourselves and of the people close to you, and I will see you around. All the best.